Hello guys. I still never really found a queue game, to be honest with you, so I don't know what I'm gonna do during the queues now. I might just keep looking on Steam. Like, there's gotta be one somewhere. Surely. Maybe I am just trying a free game?
Select your god.
Okay, if we got physical in mid, then maybe I go for a Superis Cabrakan type thing. Let's do a Cabrakan game. Hello, Sipari. I don't know, where is Kalni actually now? I feel like she's just okay. Like, she's definitely still good, but it might just be that I haven't seen a good one in a long time, but I don't feel like she's, like, insane anymore. Like, if you want to go in on her, she's definitely... I think Assassin Kali is definitely still better than the ADC version, and I think it's just because the ADC version is pretty easy to deal with. She has, like, high damage output, but... that's not really uncommon from ADCs. And it only really comes from the fact that she has, like, her ult is a steroid now. I don't know. I guess I don't know how to rate her. Aladdin open not being picked. Yeah, it happens sometimes, actually. Still, that is a W. I will admit, though, I think I would rather deal with Aladdin than Thanatos. Playing Caprakan, at least. Aladdin is child's play for me. Thanatos will probably roast my ass. Wukong abuser. I mean, he is good. I haven't played Wukong in a little while. But I also played it quite a bit when it came out. I am giga tempted to run Aegis because of Thana this game. But I think if I don't go Sundra, I might just get cooked anyway. So fuck it. I'm assuming into Thor, yeah. Thor it is. That's a fine matchup for me. Alright, see you later, Sapari. Also feel like I haven't seen much Wheelix lately. But I suppose that kind of makes sense with warriors and shit coming in. She's not really the greatest tank killer. But she's not bad at it either, so it's still kind of surprising. She's not great here, though. It's not like they have any jumps. And I don't believe we have any... No, we would have Bacchus, actually. Never mind. But if you're a Giga Chat, you're gonna do it off of the Apollo 1. Or the Dash, I mean. No one wants to play her. Yeah, but I still think she's okay. I still feel like if someone really enjoyed playing the god, they would still play it, you know? But, like, my point being, I've seen more Nuwa. Despite Nua being really bad, you know? I don't think Nua is great, but here she is. He doesn't have Sunder, so... It does mean I'll probably lose mine anyway, because he's level 2 here.
Your left tower is under attack.
Kinda need the XP here though.
Enemy missing left completed. Okay.
What's that weird fucking chase? I guess I should have stayed here, but...
An enemy has been slain.
I mean... What is that? Fuck me, dude. I'm just stuck in between wanting to rotate or do my blue buff here while I can. And now I'm behind, inevitably, because they ended up catching up. Fuck. Just trying to steal as much as I can so I can catch up. I'm actually just a full level behind after that.
An enemy has been slain.
That sucks. Do I just turn to Mystical Mail? I think I do. I don't really think I need to go for Devos or anything like that. This is definitely a matchup I feel like I just want to be tanky. Well, it's good that we got him, but really unfortunate anyway.
Your left tower is under attack. Your left tower is under attack. Enemy missing left. Enemy returned careful left. Enemies have returned to base.
Ultimate is down.
Oof, man. My XP lead off of just that single rotation, man. I hate it. It was so stupid too.
Enemy missing right.
Gank! Gank!
Very good.
Be careful left! Falling back!
Your middle tower is under attack.
Ah, fuck it. I'm just gonna stick around until I can TP back anyway. Just take a bit more farm. Well, thank God I got that kill, because at least I'm just caught back up now. Now we're about even in farm.
Enemy rain shall wash them away. Your left tower is under attack.
Enemy missing!
Wow. Stop.
Right lane!
Enemy missing left.
Damn, there's gonna be a lot of noise. The dog's gonna be very unhappy. My upstairs neighbor is still moving. I believe they're getting to the end of it now, so all the heavy shit is going out now, and it's banging everything, and my dog hits it. So he keeps barking. He's very unhappy.
Be careful!
So,
I'm going for
Stop.
jungle buff. Okay. And be merry.
Alright, I gotta fucking back. This is the last shit I'm killing before I back.
Enemy missing left.
Now I should be a little tanky. Just a little bit.
Okay. Right lane.
Straight to the speed rope. Like, not bad, but he can't fight back.
Enemy has been slain.
An item like that.
Be careful left!
Missing middle. Be careful. Your team
Get away with this!
Your left tower is under attack.
Ah, that sucks, man.
Be careful. Enemies incoming. Cancel. Your left tower is under attack.
I am sad that that didn't go my way, at least for one kill. I'm not sure I could have played any different. They did a good job of keeping distance from each other, so I couldn't stun both at the same time.
Your left tower is under attack. Shut down, Jace. The rain shall wash them away. Attack. On my way. Enemy ultimate. has been slain.
Ultimate is ready.
Thor's rotating, boys.
Enemy ultimate incoming! Hasta la vista, amigo! Oh, you move like a jaguar. And the rain shall wash them away. There's no way out.
The pyro has arrived.
There one. Bro, I have no mana.
Your team has destroyed a right enemy tower.
Oh well, at least we got out.
It's not that bad.
Nice.
That's so unfortunate that they were both, or at least the new one was quite literally 1 HP. If you told me it was 1, I would have believed it. I could not see any health bar left.
The enemy has been slain. That's too bad.
Thor beats.
Your team has destroyed a left enemy tower. Your right tower is under attack. Attack the Gold Fury.
On my way.
I am speed. I'm so fast.
Your team has destroyed the Gold Fury.
There is nowhere I cannot go. Oh, easy roll.
Ultimate is ready.
Your left tower is under
Spotted.
attack.
Behind us! Wash them away. Move like a jaguar. They hit like a baby.
Damn.
Fabuloso.
If he doesn't hit the stun, I catch up. So unfortunate. I didn't see where the new one went. She was kind of the one I was looking for that whole time. Or when she was landing, but... I just saw him as I decided to try and fall back. Press 2! Yay! Probably... Do they have a healing, actually? You know what? Let's go Brawlers. I've done Brawlers in Cabrakan before. But it ain't bad here. Because Thana will probably be around me. Because he's probably the only one that can actually kill me. Maybe Acne can too, but not as easily as Thana. And I'm still just behind on XP. Because of all this damn fighting. Damn it, I didn't get the cripple. Got his beats at least, I believe.
Your team has destroyed the Pyromancer.
Let's back after this wave so I can finish Brawlers.
Your right tower is under attack. Your right tower has been destroyed.
Enemy has been slain. On my way. Nice.
Be careful.
Retreat! Attack Fire Giant. Group up. Here I come.
On my way.
Slain an enemy. Nice job. Attack Fire Giant.
Thor still has up, by the way.
I don't think it's up yet, is it? He just ulted me before.
Your right tower is under attack. Destroy the Fire Star.
Is Agnes still there?
Cancel that. Attack the Gold Fury. On my way.
The pyros have arrived.
On my way.
Incoming! Middle lane! Middle lane!
The rain shall wash them away.
Your team has destroyed a middle enemy tower. The enemy team has destroyed the pyro. Your team has destroyed a middle enemy phoenix.
Enemy has been slain. Good game.
Well, it was pretty smooth. It just felt like, I guess, everyone else won pretty decently hard in their own lanes. I just had to CC people once I rotated. But also mean Nuwa, I suppose. Nuwa definitely made it easier for us. I'm pretty convinced that Nuwa is just bad. Her way of fighting is just so unique, and I feel like it's hard to fight back with her. She just doesn't have a consistent damage output outside of the ultimate. The one is really good, but it's slow. The 2-3 combo is the real problem. It's so situationally good that like you need some good setup in some way. Like maybe once we have pulls, like more pulls in the game, like Sylvanas or something, you can do a lot more setup for her. But right now she's really struggling. I'm still looking on Steam for these games, but it's hard to find something that fits Q, like a Q games as well. And now because of Smite, I kind of need to find something that also doesn't use a controller, because I kind of prefer using controllers, but I can't fucking do that because Smite just overtakes my controller on my PC. So gotta play something without a controller. And that shit's hard for me. W slave build, yeah. Problem is, if you don't build it yourself, you can't fight back, and then it's not fun at all, you know? Same reason why I would pick shit like Afro if it's open, is because I don't want to deal with it. Also, the more we use it, the higher chance it is to get nerfed. And I need that shit nerfed. Play a gacha during queues? I don't know, man. That doesn't sound like a great idea. I like my money. I don't want to throw it away. To be fair though, I could try the horse game that everyone was raving about a few weeks ago. That is at least free. And as like people are saying that's really good. Maybe I try the horse game. Dopamine Central. Yeah, maybe that's the way to go. Maybe I just accept it and go for the horse game. See what all the hype is about. All right, horse game it is. What does it come to? I'm downloading it. You play other stuff than Smite? I usually actually play. Are you partial to anime? Yes, I am. I do like anime. It's just I don't watch it much anymore. I am very aware of anime stuff and how weird it can be, but also how cool it can be. And yeah, I play a lot of stuff without like outside of Smite. I play a lot of single player related stuff. I don't play that much online games anymore. Like Elden Ring and like Ghost of Tsushima and God of War and all those types of games is something I play for the most part on my own. I'm gonna try. I just got my Switch too, so I'm gonna try Donkey Kong. And then I've been playing a bit Slay the Spire off stream. And Slay the Spire would be actually a great queue game. I just don't want to rebuy it. It would be amazing as a queue game. It's exactly what I need, so maybe I should just buy it on Steam. I have it on my Switch, so. Waiting for Battlefield? Yeah, that's fair. I haven't been a shooter gamer in a while, but usually I was a Call of Duty gamer, but I fell off a long fucking time ago. Shooters in general stopped appealing to me. Now I'm a medieval fantasy nerd. If I had to choose like a theme. Alright, I'm gonna turn down my sound a little bit just in case. Now that I'm opening the anime horse girl game. I don't know what kind of sounds I'll be. Oh my god. Even the intro. Let's see what it's about. The stream wants to show it. It's picking up the sound. I have played Baldur's Gate 3, yes. I wasn't a huge fan of the combat though, I will admit. I played it with a friend. It was fun, but it wasn't a game that, like, outside of its storytelling, didn't leave a huge impression. But I did like it a lot. That was great. Like, I also played most of the Final Fantasy games, all that stuff. It is a gacha, but I don't know what its practices are. I heard it's good though. Otherwise people would be pissed and they would hate it. Also, can it fucking show on stream? Show the window, OBS. It's open. I'm gonna have to turn down this music though. It's not even the turn-based, it's just the way the turn-based was, and I also don't like asymmetric games that much. Oh, you have to press all this shit. Yeah. Okay, I viewed it. Agree. I am going to mute this for a little while, because it's doing all the downloading shit, and I can't turn off right now. Oh shit, can I pause the download? How the fuck do I do that? Oh fuck. Whatever, I'm sure it's fine. We win these, surely. But in terms of like turn-based, I do like turn-based. I just played, obviously, like most other people, I imagine, played Expedition 33. Before that, I love Persona games as well. So I mean, oh shit, they banned what I wanted to ban. Fuck. Shit. Fuck, man, I couldn't find what else to ban. I was gonna ban Pele. Oh fuck me. Guess we're dealing with Ares. What can I pick that is good into Ares? Damn, I wanted to go Ymir actually. Whatever, Thor still works. It's gotta use the wall well. So, why is my Q game not showing up? Oh, you're downloading as well right now. Nice. Okay, can I turn on the sound now? Is it still going loud as fuck? You guys hear the music as well, right? When I actually turn it on? Okay, I guess that's no music, that's just a crowd. Yeah, it's being picked up on OBS at least. It might be quiet though. But why are you not being shown? I don't get that. I don't want to raise. I want to go into the settings. I hate when games do this. I'm going to just force quit it and hope that it now opens in on OBS. Come on. Open the game. Open the window. It's still loud. Why doesn't it show up? I don't understand. Is it because it is a weird, like, not gaming window and it's an actual something else? Like, I don't get it. Huh. It is. It doesn't count as a game. It counts as a as a browser. Okay, weird. But sure. Fixed, I guess. It's not in the middle. Alright, well, I guess it's working for now. Gotta turn down the sound still, though. I know, Zipari. What are you playing? I'm trying the anime horse girl game, man. I have nothing else to play. I'm giving it a shot, and it's free, okay? There's no downsides to trying it. I've accepted my fate. What am I against? Bologna? Dude, what the fuck is their comp? I hate it. Bologna, Ymir, Ares, frontline. That's incredibly disgusting, to be honest with you. I want to do blue stone this game, I think. Or do I? No. I like warriors more. On Thor. It feels better. Oh, we have Aspect Toyi? That's bold. I tried that shit once and I hated it. Still did top damage though. But not having the stun feels so weird on Huyi. You have lost it. Yeah, I do. I have lost it. Sometimes things must be sacrificed for the betterment of humanity. This is my contribution. Playing the anime horror school game. The world demands it. It's fucking Bologna, man. It will be easier once I actually have my stun, but I lost everything here already. Literally cannot fight this fucking god early on.
Scare me?
Why have you not went conduit on Sella, you fucking retard, man?
No, you can't say that on stream.
Your last tower is under attack.
It's gotta be a really boring matchup.
Think you scare me? I'm not done with you. You're going nowhere. Enemy spotted.
I just need my XP.
Your right tower is under attack.
Father's beard. That was close.
Enemy spotted.
Still up.
Enemy has been slain,
Your last tower is under attack.
and the rain shall wash them away.
That's lucky.
Enemy has been slain. Enemy missing left.
On my way.
Let's finish this.
Middle tower is under attack. A warrior's tool.
What do I build into Bologna though? No, I fucked up. I already fucked up. I should have gone Brawler straight into a Contagion. That would have been the best option for me. Let's go Contagion now, but I should have had Brawlers.
You move like a jaguar. Ooh.
Not smart.
Your left tower is under attack. middle tower is
Let's get
under
warriors
attack.
procced.
Your middle tower is under attack.
We will end you.
Enemy ultimate down!
Tragic.
Your left tower is under attack.
Nice.
Okay.
Oh, Jaguar! Ooh!
Always tragic when I don't get an assist for a kill like that, but it was pretty far away and it took a while for the kill to go down, so it makes sense. But it still feels bad moment.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Wait. It's Ares ADC. I didn't realize. What the fuck?
You're going nowhere. Think you scare me? Bring it on!
Enemy has been slain.
When did this shit spawn?
The rain shall wash them away.
Wow, her blue is really off from mine. Okay. Hammer bug, I guess.
Maya-rific!
Which do I need? Okay, perfect. Then I will just back and get that. Now, here is where I am not too sure anymore. I think I just have to go Sanguine, otherwise I'm delaying it too much. So I'll do that, and then I'll probably end up skipping Mystical this game and go straight to Neiman after that.
Maya-rific! An enemy has been slain.
On my way.
Fabuloso!
Life begins anew. Your Your right tower is under attack. Your left tower is under attack. Your right tower is under attack. Your left tower is under attack. Your right tower is under attack.
Nowhere.
Gank! Your middle tower is under attack.
Think you scare me?
The rain shall wash them away.
Done with you. Please will.
Contagion makes such a big difference, man. The item is so broken.
Destroyed a left enemy tower.
You're going nowhere.
Your team has destroyed a right enemy.
The enemy has been slain. The rain shall wash them away.
Excellent. Attack the Gold Fury. On my way. The Pyromancer has arrived. Your team has destroyed the Gold Fury.
Suppose I'll chase. Never mind. I was just kidding. My beats! I forgot they were up. I'm so mad. I pressed that so late. I could have gotten fucking kernels for that.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Whoops. Guess my greed got the better of me. Kind of inting moment from me. Hello, Yeto. Doing alright. Games are pretty weird so far, but I'm in a good mood.
Your left tower is under attack.
I kind of just inted a bit though, for literally zero reason.
Destroyed the Pyromancer.
And then it went really well during that int, and then I fucked it up.
Your left tower is under attack. Your left tower has been destroyed. Your team has destroyed a middle enemy tower.
Aladdin beats.
Your right tower is under attack.
Yeah, I mean, I think we honestly are just inevitably going to win. We have to really fuck this up, dude. They have Ares ADC. Like, how are we supposed to lose this game? Legitimately. Unless he pulls out some crazy tech no one knows about, we should definitely have this one. That's Aladdin's wish as well. Fucking hell.
Your team has destroyed the gold fjord. Enemy spotted.
Enemy has been slain.
Your right tower is under attack. Your team has destroyed the fire giant. Your right tower is under attack. Your team has destroyed the pyromancer. Your middle tower is under attack.
Chase the enemy!
Attack!
The rain shall wash them away. Slain an enemy.
Your team has destroyed a middle enemy tower. Destroyed a middle enemy phoenix.
Ouch. Did the Titan just hit me again? Why was I tanking it again? What the fuck? I wasn't even inside. I guess it was cleaving. I just hit me with the cleave attacks. I got fucking cooked.
Victory.
Early Foxhole is busted. While I wish I could give you the full credit, you were into an Ares. I'm not sure Ares. I think she definitely is, but I don't think there was much resistance on your end of things. But I get you. I do think Sol is quite good right now. Right, there we go. I mean, why is it just the black screen? Hello? Why can't things just work? Do I just do that and then do... Wait, what? It show... I'm so confused. Why can't it just show? Alt enter. No. It showed before, that's the thing. That's why I'm so confused. Because it's not a full screen issue. Because I see it. Like, I see it on my end. It just doesn't show on stream. It literally worked before. Why are we so difficult today? Yeah, I don't know why it isn't. Like, it literally worked before this game. I guess I'll just try and delete this window and see if that helps. Maybe I delete this and just make a new one. Wow, that's really big. But nope, still doesn't work. That's so weird. Because, I mean, if I swap window, it works on, just as example, on Smite. Like, now I chose Smite. So now you're seeing Smite, but for some reason it's in front of Smite? I don't understand. I can't choose that specific window. Well, I mean, if you guys don't mind seeing two Smites, this works. Actually, does it even? Wait, no, maybe no, it doesn't. It's just a paused screen of it. Never mind. It doesn't actually show. Alright, I give up. I don't know why this is not showing. Okay, not horse game then. Unfortunate. Maybe I just bite the bullet and accept that I go and play Slay the Spire again. Do I just accept it? I will buy Slay the Spire on PC. Let me make sure Slay the Spire isn't coming out tomorrow, though. The second one. No, it doesn't have a release date. Damn. I'm looking forward to the second one, though. Play Honkai? No, dude, I don't want to get into another gacha. I really don't. I was stuck in Genshin for a while. I don't wanna do it again. I don't dislike them, but fuck me, dude. Those games are not something I want to get addicted to. They're not healthy for my money. Even though I don't spend that much money on them. I have a annoying, like, it's the same with the MMOs. I don't like getting into games that grind too much these days, because I get almost like addicted to the grind itself, and I don't necessarily enjoy it either. I just have this weird like completionist mindset almost where I don't want to miss anything. I get so much fucking FOMO, and all the amount of fucking events in those games are fucking wild. I don't want to get into them again. It's not good for me. I'll probably eventually, because I actually did like the story in Genshin, probably eventually return to it for that once maybe more is out. But I haven't been back for it for a while, so we'll see. Maybe I'll just fall away from it, but there's some pretty interesting stuff, at least story-wise, in that game. I banned Aladdin, I didn't know what else to ban. Because they banned Pele again, and then I got confused again. Like, what do I even ban these days? I guess I banned Bari. No, I'll ban Susano. Fuck that.
Select your god.
Absolutely screw Susano. Ah, what do I pick? I'll do a Thana game. 6.0 is gonna be huge for Genshin. Yeah, I imagine so. That's the like what is the final region? I think that the last two regions in general will be pretty big. We'll see if I can get into it once they show stuff for it. Alright, Slay the Spire. I'm actually surprised this game still costs as much as it does. Like 22 euros for this game is... I don't know if I call it... Like, it is still a good price, I suppose, but... It does feel slightly expensive, maybe? A little bit. Alright, bear back, boys. I need to accept this buy on my phone, which isn't in front of me right now. Yeah, you're right. There was just a sale. Fuck. Oh well. Damn, their comp is so tryhard compared to ours.
Thanatos.
It's like $4 or $5. Yeah, shit. Okay, I'm gonna wait installing it just because I don't want to have potential of lag in this game. It's probably only gonna take like a few minutes anyway, but then I can just do that. You're kind of funny at that comp? Yeah, it's gonna be terrible. It's gonna be absolutely terrible. At least it's a Kali ADC though. I think I would rather deal with bots in the jungle than Kali as a Thanatos. But whatever. I think my lane at least should be okay, assuming I'm into Guan. I have an easy way to interrupt his 3. And I mean, I have the easiest, absolute easiest first butt pick on my lane here. Oh, the Aries? Yeah, this guy? Yeah. Yeah, he was in a few of my games yesterday as well. He definitely has... I did a few games off stream, by the way, at night. But yeah, he had an attitude for sure. Little does he know, I have one monitor. Satch. I generally think stream sniping is like it's a weak insult these days. Surely we can figure something better.
Minions have spawned.
Yeah, wait, I mean, that doesn't help him. I have the same info you do. It's better on you anyway. I don't use mana.
Friends, you are chock full of surprises!
Rip. Could have used that heal.
Completed! Be careful!
Will cut your life string.
Okay. Your left tower is under attack. No problem. Enemy spotted.
Just fucking sundered me.
I will not let you fall. Your middle tower is under attack. Your right tower is under attack.
Frames. Don't do that. Close. Didn't think that was gonna be an issue, to be honest.
Escape death.
Alright, fuck it. I'm risking it for the biscuit when there's no biscuit, you know? Why would one do that?
Your left tower is under attack.
Doesn't my 3 heal on aspect? I think I'm alright.
Your right tower is under attack.
Yeah, it heals, Soul Reap heals, so I get it off my 3. Which is even better, to be honest. More reliable. It doesn't really matter for now anyway, because I don't think I get regrowth until like 4th item, because I have to go, now that I'm going brawlers, I kind of have to go Contagion next. It's just the best way to really go into healers. After that, I'm obviously going into a Sanguine, so I'm not
Joguan,
delaying it too
can you
much.
come for the speed?
Sure. I might get fucked in my lane though.
No, I said Guan, Guan. Oh, not Guan. Yeah, they're on it already. Fuck.
Yeah, let's just try if we can.
Completed.
They're 5 and 6.
Your left
Oh,
tower
fine.
is under attack.
It's unfortunate. I was waiting for the jump, but then he didn't jump, and yeah, the mind games. He won them.
Enemies have
But at least I got the kill, so while I still lost a full wave, I at least got that.
your left tower is under attack. Be right
His bluestone finished it off. That's so tragic.
Your middle tower is under attack.
I'll cut you down.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Thanatos is just a really good pick here, to be honest. I have to be careful against Sobek, but I feel like that's it. The rest of their comp isn't that bad for me.
Tank middle lane. Your middle tower is under attack. Your left tower is under attack.
I'm just not in range.
Be right back. I will cut your life short.
Your middle tower is under attack. Stupendous.
Enemy spotted.
The rain shall wash them away. Nice job.
Your left tower is under attack. Your right tower is under attack.
Why can I see the marks? Wait. What are you referring to? Wait, what marks? The Hui marks?
On my way.
Souls to me.
Set up an ambush.
Enemy has been slain.
Amazed.
Nice job.
It's fine.
Yo, bots come right.
Damn, I went for it.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Oh, passive marks? It's because you can't see them anywhere. It's really annoying.
Cut your life.
I don't know why they made it invisible, but yeah, you don't see it.
The rain shall wash them away.
Yes.
An enemy has been slain.
I will not let you fall. That's too bad.
Unless I'm as blind as you, that is also a possibility. We said you're the best soul here in EU, damn. It's just because all the others quit. That's definitely not the case, I can tell you that much. Fuck. See, the best soul laner wouldn't miss that scythe on a minion. I'm just saying. No, but in all honesty, I think the best soul laner, I think it depends on who you are using as a preference, I suppose. Like, I think Nika is way better than me, I think Sav is also way better than me, but then it's not even just solo, that's just in general. I think Sab is the best player in Smite right now in my head. Obviously, I don't know too much about the NA players, but I think Sab is the best player in this region at least, despite him not even being from this region. But I appreciate the compliment. Solo-wise, I think Klino is also better than... I think he's more consistent. I think... In terms of... like a mechanical skill, I think maybe we're ish in the same vein. But I think he's just more consistent. Like, I have really bad games sometimes. And I don't see Klino having bad games as much.
More rebuttal.
Cut your life strings.
Your left tower is under attack. Enemies have returned to base. The pyroman has arrived.
To me. Hell with you.
Can Murex to people that silenced? I don't think so, no. He was just lucky he got out of it in time there.
On my way.
Will cut your life strings.
Rip my tower, though.
Your left tower is under attack.
Yeah, I can't deal with him right now because he just has too much fucking yellow damage.
Enemy ultimate down. Oh, you move like a champ.
Enemy missing left. Behind us.
Yes. Be careful, middle.
Yo, can we do something there?
Also,
Your middle tower is under attack.
rain shall wash them away.
Well done.
Sorry.
I'll cut you down. Come to me. Thanks.
Your right tower is under attack. On my way.
I'll beat, by the way, from Cuddly.
How unexpected. Be careful left. Yes.
Help!
Awaits you. Never forget.
Didn't want him to rotate.
Enemy has been slain.
But still, boys. He's gonna be below you
I'm out
guys.
of mana. Oh, never mind, I'm lying.
The rain shall wash them away.
On my way. I will cut your life, cut you down.
Then I can finally go regrowth. It feels great on Thanatos with aspect.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Help right leg. Completed.
Your right tower is under attack.
I mean, I would rotate, but I don't really think I can stop that. We're just gonna give up that tier 1.
Your right tower is destroyed.
Enemy has been slain.
Your team has destroyed a middle enemy. Your right tower is under attack.
Slain an enemy.
Your right tower is destroyed. Your right phoenix is under attack.
Can I actually buy it? Close. Let's just go make sure. Then I can just grab the ward as well.
Yes.
Oh, they do have a ward here. Shit.
I thought you down, but I'll save this for later. On my way. Help, middle lane. On my way.
Your middle tower is under attack. Stupendous.
Reigns in war. Very strong. Immortal. Like me.
Hello, Walder. The games are alright. We've been winning them, but they've been weird at times. At least we got gold, but or fire, I mean, but that's unfortunate. Did I die for that? There's just 1 HP.
Enemy has been slain.
It's Kali basics fucked me up when she pops her ult. Just go pirate, boys. See if you can get out.
Yo, he just jumped out of my ult.
I can't believe he's so skilled. Do I go shifters, maybe? It's either shifters or... Oh fuck, I don't even. Let's just go Nemean. Why even think about it when Nemean exists? Who got the kill on me as well? I think it was Kali. That was a big shutdown.
I'll cut you down.
Oh my god.
Destroyed a middle enemy tower. Middle enemy Phoenix.
I'll cut you down. Attack the Cold Fury. Cut your life stream. Souls to me.
Group up.
Fuck.
Your left tower is under attack. Right Phoenix is under attack. Destroyed a right enemy tower. Your right Phoenix has been destroyed. Your team has destroyed a right enemy tower. Attack! Cold Fury!
Ah, I was hoping she just overstayed.
I'll cut you down.
Rip my eye of the jungle.
Your team has destroyed the Gold Fury.
Retreat. Your time is done.
Enemy has been slain.
Retreat.
My bad, bro. We're chasing, I guess. Didn't think that was gonna be as bad as it ended up being.
I may not your souls to me, but if I must.
Oh, easy wrong. I am sorry.
I'll cut you down.
Defend the fire giant.
Your souls to me.
On my way.
The enemy team has destroyed the fire giant.
Life stream.
Tragic. Got a 1 at least. What else do you lead into that I can use? Let's go for Stone of Binding. The old Thana tank tech.
For later.
No, it's alright, it works, it's fine. Shit happens. Do you mind if I get speed though? Or do you want it? I'd argue that was actually my fault, because I shouldn't have chased. I thought we could just get Kali for free, I didn't realize that the rest were back up. So I thought if we get Kali there, we just end, but it is what it is. Just get out if you can, that's dagger. Boys, get out. We're still in an okay spot. Like, we're not ideal anymore, but
Team has destroyed the Gold Fury.
it's not that bad.
Are you guys fighting without me? I'm alright.
Your rain shall wash them away. Enemy has been slain.
Just fall back and get ready for fire at this point. We got a free Phoenix.
Cancel that. Retreat. Retreat. Your souls to me.
Be right back. Ladies, this one passes forward. Now, this is ready. On my way.
Your rain shall wash them away.
Mori ult.
I'll cut you down.
Beat tomorrow.
What happened?
Thunderbolts of lightning. Very, very
Good game.
That was a little scary towards the middle of that. But it worked out. Also, I really don't plan on making this stream the longest again. The last many streams during this patch have been 5+ hours. I'm really gonna try to keep this to about 3 or 4. I swear. I don't want to end up burning out. I'm opening Slay the Spire now. Hopefully, this game will be picked up normally by my stream on OBS. Yes, great. Just need to adjust the screen. Once I've picked, I guess. Hey, Wolfie, thanks for the raid. I hope you had a good stream.
Select your guard.
I'm very flattered by the compliment, but I don't think I can agree with it. There are too many people that shit on me on an average stream for me to call myself the best solo EU, but I like to think I'm not bad, at least. Not that I think I am, but I don't think I'm in the top. I guess first of all, I gotta... you're really small. Where would we put you? Restart the game. Damn. Okay, fine. Can't be bad if you build cool items such as Lash, Anemia, and Regrowth. Yeah. Yeah. I saw a comment, like, it is crazy how every solo this patch is so talented. Yeah, that sounds about right. Okay, now it should look fine, right? Supposedly. It's pretty loud though. I don't think you guys hear it. I want you to be this one. Okay, now you hear it at least. It might be really quiet for you guys now though, but I can always turn it up, but... there we go. Let me know if it's too loud or too quiet, I suppose. Oh man, now I just have to start all over again. No characters unlocked. Damn. And just for context, I have played this game. I've also... I completed it once, so like one successful run. And it is a roguelike. So yeah. It's a beats game.
Ah, good man. Best of luck. Try not to explode in the first 5 minutes.
It is in fact a roguelite, so... I've essentially killed the last boss once, but then I kind of stopped. I think there was something else that came out that I wanted to play, and then I just kind of never went back. So I decided to go back now. Play it a bit again, and I think it's a great queue game. Alright, see you after see you the next game. I will or after this game. Fucking hell. Brain be brainin'. Not very well right now. I assume I'm against Odin. Yeah, it has to be, because Achilles has aspect, so he's jungle.
Minions have spawned.
My Fenrir might be a bit sloppy. I haven't really played him in a while. Shermo's daddy. What's up, Dutch?
You are an impressive fighter.
Okay, he's got a million pots.
Completed.
No, come back.
Your middle tower is under attack.
It's weird playing like solo, because some gods are so mana hungry that if you don't go instantly pick up her blue, you're fucked. You're just gonna be out of mana for the rest of your life. And then you're playing shit like Fenrir, where you just I'm ability spamming, and I don't feel like I'm ever going out of mana right now. It is very strange.
Enemy missing.
How, rather?
That sucks. I didn't think there was gonna be a jungler here, but I'm really bad at this specific scenario, because sometimes the jungler will show up for blue and sometimes they don't, and they're usually ganking right before.
Defend.
Completed.
Cancel that. Group up.
Okay.
Attack.
Ow.
Your right tower is under attack.
He was level 3 at the time, dude. How is he so far behind? That's crazy. Just one death, I guess, led to a lot of invading.
Okay, okay.
Third does seem a little confused this game, I'm not gonna lie.
Your left tower is under attack.
I'm actually gonna have to just try and not rely on him. As mean as that sounds.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Gank. Gank.
On my way. No problem. Your middle tower is under attack.
Hasta la vista, amigo. Nara has been slain. And the rain shall wash them away.
Be careful.
Really wanted it.
Air is
Okay.
strong.
At least wanted an ult for an ult.
Enemy ultimate down. No problem. Your middle tower is under attack. Your middle tower is under attack. Your left tower is under attack. How?
I'll bag after this wave. When my TP is back up.
Ultimate is ready.
Your left tower is under attack.
Enemy has been slain.
Your left tower is under attack.
Are we losing the 1v1s over there as Honor and Apollo? Yeesh. That's not good.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Vista, amigo.
Your left tower is under attack. Your middle tower is under attack. Retreat. Under attack. Your middle tower is under
It jumped on me. Fuck it. I just got it back. I assume I would do Mystical Mail, because I can't use... Fuck, does anyone know? Does my 2 count as an actual heal, like it would with Thanatos? Because his 1 counts as a heal, but does Fenris 2 count as a heal? Would I proc regrowth off of it?
Attack right blade. Ultimate is ready. Rain shall wash them away. Completed.
Nice job.
Nice job.
On my way.
Your left tower has been destroyed. Be careful middle.
Follow me.
Retreat.
Man, Apollo is so fat that he's a problem over here now. That's so unfortunate. What the fuck is the ADC here? I would be huge if he had mana enough. Now he's just dead and stuff. Oh. Oh.
Okay.
Your right tower is under attack.
I'm not sure what my team was doing though, to be real. I have no idea why everyone was there.
Has arrived. Your middle tower is under attack.
Completed.
What is he doing, man? How's games? They've been alright. This one is fucking rough though. My teammates are so confused. Like my Merlin is on my enemy blue buff. He's just giving up now, so he's just trolling. So I'm down to Q if you want. Yeah, no worries, Sarky. I was pretty lucky in those games that I actually somehow managed to play those like that well in mid, to be honest. Almost sad I didn't stream them. I had some crazy games in mid last night. I do think this is a surrender angle. I don't really want to be in this one. I guess my team doesn't want to.
Enemies at the Gold Fury.
Completed.
You think Fenrir beats Odin? Kind of an even matchup. Damn. It's a big kill for us though. We'll still take it. Just sucks that I died. before my ult was usable. Oh, unfortunate. Like overall, I do think Odin probably beats Fenrir, but I don't know. It's generally pretty even, I would say. Like I don't think any of them should defeat the other one like super hard. Fenrir always has some way to get out of the cage. You really have to time it well to have both brutalize and jump down. While Odin does have the possibility to stop Fenrir from just full healing, basically, with Death Toll and the wave if he ults at the right time. Shit like that, you know. That's ways you can play this matchup that are pretty interesting. I just gotta stop fighting. It's literally no point. His team is so far ahead compared to mine. I just gotta farm. Maybe I'll try fighting him again once I have Sanguine, but without Sanguine that ain't happening. Oh, he went regrowth and Ode. Point in case. Point in case.
Yes. Your right tower is under attack.
How did you lose this badly to this guy of all things, Thanatos? In a matchup that you should be winning. What happened? Tell me. I'm not really sure. I mean, he shouldn't even have tried. He doesn't have Sunder. Actually gonna press the button now. This is Jover. The fucking Rise level 17.
Your right tower is under attack. Okay.
I guess it was a pause vote, but we'll see. People are still saying no. Yeah, it's fucking over. Well, that was an extra cursed game. Literally not allowed to do a single 1v1 that game without having at least 3 people showing up. Hey, you got blessed? Yeah, it happens. That's okay though. Yeah, I mean, I didn't recognize my Honor and my Thor, so you never know what's gonna happen if it's like an unknown name. Because I like the two things that tends to happen is either it's a rename or it's someone who's just not supposed to be there. And it didn't seem like a rename. Right. Back up with the Q game. Man, my character's gonna be weak as fuck. Because they don't have any upgrades. This is the RNG route. Let's do that one. I know how to play the game. Enemy might be DC'd. Let's do that one. Oh, maybe I should be banning just to get this shit over with. There we go. Sure. Major, take 20 damage. Lose 6 max. I'll just take the damage. What did I get though? More gold? That's good. Sure, give me more gold. I'll take another curse. Hell yeah, I'm rich. This is the money run, goddamn. I haven't had a money run before. Who was top pick? I assume it was just a DC. Maybe it was just like just a leave. I'll take some free damage. Sounds good. Ooh. Yeah, that's great actually. Go away, curse. Damn, RNG run worked out. thorns. I assume that's like a hit back effect. You hit me, you take damage. I hate this mob because it steals my gold. I do get it back if I kill them, but still don't like it. They do run away if you don't kill them fast enough, so that is also a problem. It's not a problem for now, though. I like this card, but I kind of want the one that costs nothing. Give me something good. Started with more damage, that's good. I'll take it. Do I just take the 9 damage? I think so. So I can do some more damage while I have the buff. I don't like any of these. Right, they split. Shit. Yeah, that seems pretty nice. I want this, but don't want to deal with a boss. Or elite. I don't think I'd take one right now. That easily, at least. Fuck him up. Bonk. Kinda want that. No, I'll do Combust first. It just has potential to do so much damage. I like the potential of it. I mean, they're all dead anyway, I guess. I prefer this one. There we go. Do I rest or upgrade? It's only 4 HP. Surely I don't need to rest. Let's upgrade one of these then. See if I can get some early big damage. I mean, fuck it, why not? I don't like this boss. Yeah, fuck, man. Now I take damage if I hit him. I hate that. Shit, I was looking for some shielding. Oh, just gotta take the damage then. Fuck. How is this queue so long? It's 11 minutes? Dude, what the fuck? Okay. 11-minute queue? Dude, I haven't had an 11-minute queue in a long fucking time. Is no one playing right now? Do I just... yeah, fuck it. I'll aim to end it in the next... okay, maybe not. Fucking shield. Okay, should be able to end it in this round. Assuming I get the right cards. Yeah, perfect. Oh, it's kind of nice.
Select your god.
Mordred. Is that Mordred solo? I'll do the emoji. Should be fine here into something that is melee-esque. No one can potions. I don't like that. I suppose I'll just do the empty cage then. Remove some of these shit cards. Wait. Cancel that. No! Go back! I don't want to remove any of these cards. Why can't I remove the bad ones? No! Go back! Oh man. Well, I guess I'll remove 2 of these then. I guess that means there's a better chance of getting some stronger cards, but fuck me. That wasn't the plan. I thought I had more bad cards. I have a lot of gold. I gotta get to a shop. Let's aim for that fucker right there. I don't really want to take all that damage. I see that the game pauses, maybe? No, okay, maybe it doesn't. I thought it paused. When I tapped out. Alright, after a lot of time, I'm back in the game. So, it is Mordred solo. Alright.
Golden nectar. Just what I was looking for.
Is this the Yamojo game? It is. It's the Yamojo game. I don't think Minari is here to see it though. Maybe he is. Maybe he's lurking somewhere.
Well, hello there.
Uh-oh. Support is going warriors. What the fuck is he going into? Breastplate, maybe? That doesn't look promising, I'm not gonna lie to you.
Spawned.
but I believe in him.
Until we meet again. I have you now.
Okay. Okay. Nice job. Okay. Attack. Fiendish. Fiendish.
Yes.
Board here.
I have you now. And gleaming shards.
No!
Okay.
My Warrior's Axe proc was ready. Damn.
Okay. An enemy has been slain. Fiendish.
Just gotta just get my Omi up.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Pleased to meet you.
Probably should have gone Death Toll, to be fair. I haven't had this conversation yesterday, but...
There, my radiance. And gleaming shards.
Your right tower is under
I kind of like having Warrior's Axe. At least you're a little bit more tanky. And the poke with just ranged autos and Warrior's Axe just fits so well together. It's so easy just to proc the passive. Stop bullying noobs. It's not my fault that I had to wait so long.
I have you now. Watch as the shadows run from my radiance.
Hercules! I didn't see him! Oh man!
Jungle buff.
I was like, what just pushed me? There's a Hercules behind me. Fuck. What the fuck, man? He came out of nowhere. Oh well. It is what it is. Could at least have waited.
Your right tower is under attack.
Would have been nice to at least get the Mordred.
Enemy missing right. Your left tower is under attack.
Yeah, the new Mordred ability where it just pushes you to all fucking heaven. Missed that part. Crazy Mordred buff.
Enemy missing right.
Kinda sucks, because I was pretty sure that once my ult came back up, I would have kill potential.
Enemy missing left.
Which I did. But
Shards. Enemy missing left. Cancel that.
Enemy has been slain.
maybe I should have just taken that ult.
under attack.
Like the sun breaks the night.
Tragic.
In gleaming shards.
Finally subsides.
Enemy has been slain.
Thanks.
They're my radiance.
Rain shall wash them away.
Oh yeah.
They can finish that off themselves.
Enemy missing left.
Right? I guess not. Oh, they did. Perfect.
Fort in gleaming shards.
Can I blame someone who's not at high level, I suppose, for not wanting or knowing how to deal with a Yamoja auto attacker? No, not really. This shit is rare as fuck. Who plays this shit? I do. But how are you supposed to know how to deal with it if you've never met it before? It's why new meta's always weird as well. Because everything just doesn't make any sense and you're in a one-shot by things you never expected to one-shot you. All shit like shit like that. He's just trying to fight a Yamoja, which in the past probably has been very easy for him as a Modred. Not anymore. Do I even need to rotate for this? Oh.
They hit like a baby.
Watching shadows run from my light. Gleaming shards.
Yes, I do.
Free your souls to the other side.
Your right tower is under attack.
I mean, I could just build a full item. What do I buy? Let's go Dagger or Frenzy. Ooh, I can also get my Baron pot. Next up, I will go Pharaohs, probably.
Your right tower is under attack. Your left tower is under attack.
I'm fed. Like, really fed.
I have you now. They're my radiance.
Be careful, middle enemy missing right.
Finally subsides.
Enemy has been slain.
Oh yeah. Nice.
I just don't think he's building. Yeah, I mean, he might build some of the OP stuff eventually, but right now he's just so far behind. And with Devos, he's just so squishy.
Rain shall wash them away.
I was really trying not to just go and yoink that.
Attack the gold fury. Group up. Pleased to meet you. An ally has left the game.
That is unfortunate.
No! Us getting initiated on as bad time for me. Shit. Do I just fuck? This is rough.
Like the sun breaks through.
Oh, he still got passed. That sucks.
Enemy missing right. Enemy missing right. Gank right lane.
Be careful, right. Enemy missing middle.
Your left tower is under attack. Attack right lane.
Be careful, right. Be careful in the jungle.
Completed.
Enemy missing left.
Oh man, if he doesn't have Aegis, he just dies there. Aegis, man? What the fuck?
Your left tower is under attack. Your middle tower is under attack. The pyromancer has arrived.
An enemy has been slain.
I always feel like the ones I least expect to have Aegis ends up having Aegis.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Enemy missing left.
Enemy missing middle.
Your team has destroyed the Gold Fury. Completed.
Zoning. Kinda nasty,
Your
but
middle
fair
tower
enough.
is under attack.
Dude, he doesn't even want to walk up anymore. It's like, nope, not anymore. Been there, done that.
I have you now. Hold right there.
Attack fire giant. Attack fire giant.
Enemy missing. On my way. Ultimate is ready. Follow me.
Enemy ultimate down.
On my way.
Gotta save my Omi.
Rain shall wash them away.
My life
Herc is a problem, man. It's definitely the hardest to deal with in that team.
Fire giant. Attack fire giant. On my way. Attack fire giant. On my way.
Your team has destroyed the pyromancer. Your team has destroyed a middle enemy tower.
Probably have to go Berserkers as well. I actually think instead of Bow for me here, I probably have to go Ixie. Get some kind of pen for Herc. Not to mention Mordred and Ares.
Be careful, right.
on my way.
Attack right.
my way.
Attack right lane.
Set up an extra shield. 5.
Ultimate is down.
Chase the enemy.
Just the Berserkers now, actually. But then I will go Exi next.
Attack middle lane. Enemy has been slain. Your left tower.
Let's go say hi to Mordred again.
Your
I'm
left
sure he
tower
misses me by
has
now.
been destroyed.
Enemy missing left. Be careful, middle. Be careful, middle.
Rain shall wash them away.
I gotta get some kind of blue buff back.
The Pyromancer has arrived.
I find it really funny how he just refuses to walk up now. He's so done with dealing with me.
Your middle tower is under attack. Your middle tower has been destroyed.
Poor guy.
There, my radiance. Gleaming shards.
You move like a jaguar.
Enemy spotted. Gleaming shards. I have you now.
Enemy has been slain. On my way. Attack fire giant.
Yes.
Attack fire giant. Attack fire giant. Fire giant. Enemies have returned to
Attack.
base.
There, my radiance.
The rain shall wash them away. An enemy has left the game. An enemy has returned. Your team has destroyed the fire giant.
Hold right there.
Let's get 20 for a big ult. Not that it's gonna do that much when I have full strength, but it's better than nothing. I'll just buy in full exit pretty soon.
I have you now. On my way.
Let's actually TP first.
Enemy has been slain. Oh, my horrific! Triple kill.
There, my radiance.
Rain shall wash them away.
Attack right lane.
Yes.
Alright, it's back. I'm doing so little damage.
There, my radiance.
I need the jungle buff. Your team has destroyed the Gold Fury.
Let's finish that up.
To nurture the eternal
What did go last
flame
then?
within.
What could be nice and fun to do last? What about death metal? Death metal could be interesting.
Enemy has been slain. In range, wash them away. The Thunderstorm. Also, you have slain an enemy.
Forth in gleaming shards. Hold right there. Like the sun breaks the night. I have you now. There, my radiance. Hold right there. Retreat.
Attack Fire Giant. Attack Fire Giant. Now. Your fear.
Enemy has been slain. Good night.
The dusk encroaches.
Ooh. Don't kill me, rocks.
Destroyed the fire tower.
That is unfortunate.
Should have never come here. Good luck.
Yeah, let's do death metal.
Team has destroyed
Just a little
the
bit of crit.
Pyromancer.
Mind the door. Yeah. I'm staying away from that fucking door from now on. Granted, I knew it then too. I just didn't have a choice. It was either, like, die to the enemies or potentially die to the door, and sadly the door got me. It is what it is, you know. That game was a disaster either way.
I'm sure I'll see you.
I went low-key tank. That game was bound to be bad. Still won it though. But it wasn't because of me. Wait, can I finish it? No. I kinda really want to finish death metal. Before we do anything.
Okay. I'm sure I'll see you. I'll attack my
Be right
flame.
back. On my way.
It's nothing. I'm sure I'll see you later. Enemies incoming right.
Be careful, right?
Attack the Gold Fury! Group up. Burst forth in gleaming shards.
Herc still is in 20, so that's huge.
Hold right there.
Your team has destroyed a left enemy tower. Your
This is
team
how
has destroyed
darkness
the Gold
falls.
Fury.
Follow me.
jungle bow.
Victory.
This way of playing Emoji is definitely fun, but it does help when you're against a melee character. I think she gets really fucked up by mages. Alright, I'll do one more Sarki, then I think that will be the last one for me. Oh yeah, I muted the sound. There we go. So close to demigod. I don't even know if... I mean, I am too if I'm higher elo than you, but I haven't checked actually. I have been winning a lot today. Actually, this doesn't even matter. Just end the turn, I win anyway. Oh, we don't win 10 in a row now. I'm sure it'll be fine. That could be really OP actually. But I don't have any cards that help that right now. Let me check. Let's see where I'm at. Am I already demigod? I'm not. I am 4,800. So 2 or 3 more wins would give me demigod. But I've been playing so much Smite in the last few days, or I guess the last week or so, that I feel like today I'm trying not to overdo it. I feel it mostly in my back. That I've been sitting and playing games a lot more since this patch came out. So I should really chill a bit. Take a step back. Rest a bit more. So I'm gonna try and do that today. And end around my usual time frame. I have to kill these dudes. I can't lose my gold. I'm so close to the shop. But against plats and diamonds, yeah, I mean it was felt for sure. Mordred was quite confused in my lane for good reason, I suppose. Can't really blame him. He was also dealing with something he's probably never met before. No one really plays the AA emoji anymore. Now I don't feel that good anymore. Wow. Because you lost lane? What actually happened in your lane? Was it just a Who You matchup? Did you fuck up somehow? Exhaust. Script that. Necronomicon. First attack played that turn costs 2 or more is played twice. Interesting. Sure. That could be really good, especially if I'm playing the one that does a lot of damage. Sure, I'll lose the golden idol. Whenever you gain gold, heal 5. That's okay, I suppose. Alright. Killed him a couple of times, but there's a time when I jumped and he counter jumped, basically. I see. Did he have an aspect on? Is that why he didn't have a stun? Or was it just normal Hui? Hui has surprisingly good spots on the Smite 2 map to triple bounce and shit. That was the, what was it, the Loki game yesterday where I just got fucked up as well? With a random bounce that he did? That was so annoying. I remember. You make Nor pass when choosing the next room to travel. Interesting. Maybe add a skill to a deck. Upgrade it. That's also pretty good. Maybe play power, attack, or skill in the same turn. Remove all your debuffs. I'm not gonna keep track of that. Man, this shop sucks. And I have so much money, I'm gonna spend it. Oh, he did have aspect? Okay. Might be a high SR lobby now. We'll see. I mean, we've been waiting for 5 minutes already. Oh, Nika Gabo and Lisa Q. Okay. I hope so. It would be nice to get a good game in last. Let's get some rest, heal back up a bit, and proceed. I could take another rest over there. Ooh, damn, just a chest. Great. Let's do this path. Otherwise I have to deal with the boss.
Select your god.
What do I do then? What do I do? No, I'll do Kukulkan. I don't want to play the usual shit right now. I can't be asked to play all that stuff. I will try a different build on him though. I'm not gonna be full mage. Nika 7 purple on the team? Okay, maybe I should have gone Kukulkan. I didn't realize. I already forgot who we might be against. Oh well. I'm sure it's fine. So, wait, what was this? The first attack played each turn. That costs 2 or more will do double, I believe. Right, so this one-shots? Yes, perfect. Nice. That helps. Healer gone. Shit, I should have done the other one first. Damn, I could really have used that one. Oh well. I gotta say it, I do think they outdrafted us. And a lot of that is on me. But it's okay. It's not our comp is bad. That could be okay, actually. Let's go for that. Treasure. That's great. Wukong of all things as well when I play this. This sucks. This is not good. Why is it only 20 int? I hate that. Because I kind of want it. Sheesh. It's either I do... I need some kind of early lifesteal. Suppose I just gotta start like that for now.
We try again together.
I can't see this going well for me.
Minions have spawned.
No problem. Yes.
Unfortunate, really?
Purple Orb has kind of been popping off lately, I'm not gonna lie. It's been doing quite well. Like, he has off games for sure, but like, don't we all? He's doing a lot better than I would have expected. Fuck. Gotta hit my one, since I'm gonna Probably level that. For the most part.
Enemy spotted. Completed.
That's too bad.
Spectacular.
Why is my jungle never on my blue, man? I don't believe this.
Under attack.
Every time.
Enemy has been slain.
On my way.
Range shall wash them away.
Down.
Just need my blue buff. Do I maybe just...
Perfection.
Fuck. I think I do.
Help, yes.
Maybe a Yogi's?
Gang, left lane.
I think I do Boar, actually. Let's go Boar for defense, defensibility, because I don't have Aegis for the Kraken. So I will end up needing that.
Enemy has been slain.
Enemy missing right.
Farewell. Your middle tower is under attack. Retreat. Enemy ultimate down. Retreat. Completed. Goodbye.
$16 seconds. Get him. Ah. It's cooked. Well, comp is just so bad.
Your middle tower is under attack. Ally has been slain.
Should have been at least the Poseidon kill here, but we just can't do much with. Dude, Mulan Kukulkan, man. We're so fucked. Let me guess. What?
Okay.
Man, my blue again! I have to just stop being aggressive when my blue is coming up. That one is on me. I can't really blame anyone else for that.
Your middle tower is under attack.
A huge XP lead now. All because I just can't get a blue buff.
Wash them away.
I think we can fight them too, to be honest. Like, so far it has been the case.
Enemy has been slain. You are fabulous.
It's going well elsewhere though, so that's something.
The rain shall wash them away. Be careful. Enemy ultimate incoming.
Enemy missing right.
Completed.
Slow down.
Ally slain. Your right tower is under attack.
Serpents. Enemy missing right.
Let's get Borm.
Nowhere.
Your right tower is under attack. Your left tower is under attack.
Ultimate is down. Enemy ultimate is down.
The Pyromancer has arrived.
Enemy missing. Spectacular.
Hey, blue buff. Yes. I can. I mean, it doesn't really change anything, to be honest. It's just the XP.
Down. Storm strikes.
I do forget how squishy those are. I could probably almost one-shot them with my one. Should've just used it early.
Down.
Enemy has been slain.
Enemy missing. Serpent swiftness.
Fabuloso! Oh, you move like a jaguar. Ooh. Your middle tower is under attack.
Enemy missing.
The rain shall wash them away.
Nice job.
Good game.
Just a poke fight.
Enemy ultimate down.
Enemy ultimate down. The rain shall wash them away.
I'll take an ult trade. Mine is way less useless full than his.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Wait, we didn't even ult trade. Never mind. I just got his ult, my boar. I just had in my head that the boar was my ult. 200 gold.
Enemy spotted.
Enemy missing. Right.
Boar just kind of puts a stop to what else I can build. I'm not sure I want to go Jet Scepter because of it. Look at me. Trying to outrange Wukong 1. Impossible.
Enemy missing.
Enemy has been slain.
Enemies in right lane. Enemies in the right jungle.
The enemy team has destroyed the pyramid.
Your right tower is under attack. Your middle tower is under attack. Gank middle lane. Your middle tower has been destroyed.
Slow down.
Enemy spotted. Goodbye. Enemies in left lane.
Down. Serpent swiftness. Storm strikes.
We're getting the kills, but they are getting the objectives, so they're still ahead in gold.
Storm strikes. Slow down. Serpent swiftness. Enemies in the right lane. Slow down.
Enemy missing.
Gank right lane. Your right tower is under attack. Your right tower has been destroyed.
Ele fece isso já onda.
They're just kind of controlling the map at the moment. They're getting all the towers and I mean, there's no gold, I suppose, but they got a pyro. I'm not sure how many pyros they've gotten. If Poseidon is around, it could be a good fight.
We try again together.
Yes. Unfortunate, really. Your middle tower is under attack.
Bravo, hay que intentar una gold, ¿eh?
The pyromancer has arrived.
On my way.
Ally has been slain.
On my way.
Enemy down. Your middle tower is under attack. Enemy ultimate down. Okay. Attack the gold.
I'll get an early off shard, because they have a pretty rough front line with Wukong as well. Well, I guess this Wukong won't be building much, but I want it for Herc. I want to make sure we can actually kill Herc.
On my way. Your left tower is under attack. Destroy the gold fury.
Completed.
Completed.
I'll gank left lane. We try again together.
I gotta get Polly next, and then Rod. Such a boring build. But it's kind of what I have to build as a result of going for a boar. Otherwise I'm gonna lag everything else.
Enemy has been slain.
Just won't have enough power, or I won't have enough pen to really fight.
Destroy the left enemy tower. Enemy spotted.
Enemy missing. Be careful left.
The rain shall wash them away.
Epri está rotísimo, cabrón.
enemy team has destroyed the
Try
pyramid.
again together.
Your left tower is under attack.
They're just doing pyro on cooldown. We gotta make sure we have an eye on that shit.
Enemy has been slain. Ally has been slain. Your left tower is under attack.
Lost a tail.
Oh, you move like a jaguar.
I'm gonna see if I can just keep a ward on fire.
Ward the fire giant. Enemy missing.
No problem.
It's back for Polly before anything else. Polly doesn't give lifesteal, does it? No, that's just my one thing. That my mind just tells me that
de la Golden 20, Gabu.
it did. So, but I guess
De para acá.
that never came over in Smite 2.
Enemy missing right.
Man, I really tried to just go for Vulcan here, but it's tough. Just need 3k more gold now for Rod, then I can clap. I'm sad I didn't get the Hu Yi, he was just 1 HP. Not enough damage.
Your left tower is under attack.
600. Not bad.
The enemy team has destroyed the Pyromancer. Your left tower is under attack.
Okay.
Nature calls.
We doesn't feel like we're staying that grouped.
Your middle tower is under attack. Your middle tower has been destroyed. Rain shall wash them away.
No, man. Fuck. His Kraken was up after all that? What happened for people then? Fuck me. I got greedy. Didn't expect the Kraken to be back up.
We need wards.
Like, they will go for fire while I'm dead, but it's like someone else go back and buy wards.
Group up.
Retreat.
I did a lot of damage to some people, but I'm not sure it's enough.
I can't understand. We're not able to kill a Vulcan without beats, neither I guess. Okay.
Just dead. Doesn't matter. He lagged into me. I'm not sure that was... Like, what the fuck was that? He fucking lagged away or some shit? That was really weird.
Your right tower is under attack.
We just aren't grouped, it feels like. We can't really fight back. We always have someone running around and left.
Your right tower.
We can easily fight back if we're 5.
been destroyed. Your middle phoenix is under attack. Your middle phoenix has been destroyed. Okay. Your Titan is under attack.
Titan is holding.
Your Titan is under attack. Titan is under attack.
Oh well.
Defeat.
Yeah, I'll end it here. I don't want to end up playing 6 hours again. But it's been pretty successful today. Most of them were wins, so slowly making the way back up. Yeah, well, it was quite successful. I'll take it. Despite it being a loss, that's okay. It was a decent game. Like the lane, at least I think I did the lane pretty well. Like I didn't really lose lane, which I expected into a Wukong. But yeah. Alright guys, that'll be it for me for now. I appreciate you watching as always, and I will see you guys next time, which is probably just gonna be tomorrow, because I like playing the game right now. So yeah.